Welcome back to Link by Golf. I'm your host Ross McGuire. In this episode, I'm joined by returning guest Pete McLachlan, the man behind some fantastic golf content on YouTube. Pete has made it his mission to showcase courses that don't always get the spotlight, and in doing so, he's inspired golfers to explore Scotland in a whole new way. We talk about his incredible experience of playing 95 holes in a single day across the Isle of Arran, what makes those hidden gems so special, and why the Arran Golf Pass might just be the best deal in Scottish golf. Pete also shares stories from the courses, from deer lying across the fairways to Augusta-like conditions at a 9-hole track, and finishing on the beach at Macquarie Bay. This episode is brought to you by TrueLinks Wear. Head over to truelinkswear.uk to check out the latest range of shoes and apparel and support the brands that support the pod. This is a conversation about adventure and falling in love with golf's overlooked treasures. Let's go over to Pete. On this week's podcast, I'm delighted to be joined by Pete McLachlan. Pete, how's it going?
It's going good, Ross. Good to see you, mate. Glad to be back. Be back.
First man that's made it back in the pod twice. There you go.
Am I really? Wow.
You've got that honour.
Feel special, man. I feel special.
Yeah, I bet you do. And then, Pete, talk us through the journey you've been on. So we last spoke in January, but talk us through the journey you've been on since February, just at a high level, and what kind of things that have been happening.
Well, I actually can't believe when you just said January there, which is amazing. So you caught us almost the first sort of couple of months into the Bogey Train journey. And as you know, in Scotland, we don't have the longest golf season. So the summer and leading into the summer has just been, we need to get out there and make hay when the sun shines, or overcast and rainy in Glasgow. But no, I would say something very strange for Scotland is, the cameras do not work well in the rain, if at all. So, we've only had to really cancel 1 or 2 days filming, which is really unbelievable. Wow. Unbelievable. And, we'll go on to tell you about sort of, where we've gone and what we've done. There was a few really big trips this year. I suppose the biggest one was the sort of bucket list trip for me was out to the Outer Hebrides, which I'm sure a lot of people will know listening, but in Scotland, off the west coast of Scotland, there's sort of two series of islands, or two groups of islands, called the Inner and Outer Hebrides. And the Outer Hebrides are these chain of really remote islands, which have golf courses, which is unbelievable.
Of course they do. It's Scotland.
I know. Why we even surprised? So yeah, it was a bit of a I guess everybody's got bucket list courses, and I know we need to talk about your trip to Dornoch, because that every time I hear you talk about it, you can hear the smiles in your face of that trip. But we all have things we want to play in golf, and I wanted to go out there ever since I heard there was golf courses. And then in more recent years, there has been this sort of secret, I guess, or this sort of mythical course of Askernish that is, has popped up in different conversations, and almost out of nowhere. And it is an incredible story of Askernish, that out on the trip that we wanted to do was go to Isle of Arran. So Harris and Lewis is one island, or what is this one island? Yeah, but it's cut into basically two islands by a geographical landmark of mountains. Now they never had, 100 years ago, they never had a road, so they could only really get to each other by boat. Right. But the southern half of that island is called the Isle of Harris, and we'd heard that there was a course there, a 9-hole course. So we wanted to play that, get the ferry down to North Uist and drive right down to South Uist, and play Askernish, and then finish off the trip getting another ferry to Isle of Arran, where I think people have seen the plane lands on the beach, which is bizarre. So the plane lands on the sand, and in Barra there's a 9-hole course. So we wanted to tick these sort of 3 courses off. We ended up finding another 2 en route. So we found a course on Isle of Skye, a 9-hole course, Isle of Skye Golf Club, which is superb. And then we found a 9-hole course right in between North Uist and South Uist. There's a connected island by causeway called Benbecula, and there's a 9-hole course there, which sits almost like in the middle of a commercial runway and RAF base. So you kind of drive onto like old runways, just like really unique and amazing. Anyway, Askernish was the big jewel. I was kind of researching about this, and it just like the story is unbelievable. Have you heard much about it, Ross? Do you know much about it?
Right. No.
So Askernish, and this is all stuff I've learned, really this year. And I had a sort of broad strokes of it, but Askernish is the original course was designed by old Tom Morris. So old Tom Morris, I mean, how is he getting out there back in the day? On some sort of boat, and just like a wild journey out there to South Uist, and he builds this course, and just like a lot of courses that get disbanded because of war and not having the people to upkeep the course, the course basically gets lost, and decades later they sort of reclaim a bit of ground and they start playing golf there. And quite famously, I think it was in the 70s, this doctor, the guy doctor, I think it was Dr. Robertson, goes over to the island, mad keen golfer, and him and his wife sort of upkeep the course, and he taught all the locals how to play golf again, and golf becomes on the radar there in South Uist. And then
that's an awesome story, isn't
it? Yeah, and it just gets better and better. And then in 2005, there's a guy, oh my god, his name escapes me, but he's like he's a bit of a sort of golf course sort of architect / head green guy, and he's an old Tom Morris, basically. Sort of, I studied old Tom Morris, and he was randomly in South Uist on a fishing trip. So this is just like, you're just like, what's going on? And somebody says, oh, there's an old Tom Morris course here, and he's like, there's no, I know everything about old Tom Morris, and says, no, we've got documentation. He was here and he laid out, and this guy went out to the site of Askernish, and the story was he got down on his knees and kissed the ground. Like it was the Pope or something, and he was like, this ground is the best golfing ground, and no wonder old Tom Morris chose this. So he came back with some heavy hitting architects. I think it was Clement and Duprice, Clement and DuPont came back, and they went out and they tried to refine the old course, and it's just such a special place. So since 2007, they have this course there, 18 holes. The first 6 are all done on a kind of flat bit of Macker land, which is very, very similar to Links land. And then it goes into these unbelievable dunes, and there's about, there's maybe 7 or 8 holes that are just like spectacular in these dune systems. And they have very, very modest equipment. They have 1 full-time greenie, and they had a young guy join them in the summer. So I mean, next to no help. So it's very, as you can imagine,
one of these places, Pete, where you turn up and you basically leave your money in almost like a post box, or is it that sort of style as well? The honesty box.
Yeah, it is. They have a clubhouse, and they are trying to man it with support of the club and support of the locals. So they do have a beautiful little, sort of looks like an American prairie house, little house in the prairie. That's the clubhouse at Askernish, little house in the prairie. And it's just like mythical, and just you just get this vibe. Now, Tom, who works for Bogey Train, who's like main video guy, Tom always says, if you are a guy or a girl that likes to go into a golf course and wants someone to park your car for you, then this probably isn't the place for you, right? It's very, rough and rugged. The greens are not running, quick or anything like that. It's just like bare bones. There's no ball washers. There's no starter. There's like tee markers and a flag. And in the middle of
golf is meant to be.
Yeah. So and that's their thing. So it's getting sort of worldwide acclaim now. There's definitely, because they've got that airport there at Benbecula, there has been Americans, like
flying in,
proper golf nuts flying in jets and all that. And they're getting a bit of action, which is fantastic. So that was great. And the whole trip was sort of based around a couple of days at Askernish. And Scott, who took us round, was a local who's on the committee, and brought us in the night before, cooked dinner for us. It's the islands are that kind of place. There's like a community vibe that it just gets lost now when you're in a city. So everyone's trying to help you and look after you. It's just brilliant. But on that trip, we came across, I want to say something to how you talk about Dornoch, and I came across this 9-hole course on Isle of Harris that, I mean, for me, from my opinion of a golf course, it was perfect. It was perfection. And
which is mad when you think about the courses you've played, even in the last few months. That's incredible.
Yeah. It was just, we had it as a sort of filler day, and we played it twice, once at night and once the next morning. And it was just one of those places that just blew me away. It's the most spectacular. Harris is one of the most spectacular visual places you'll go. These beaches, you've kind of seen them now, but 5 mile long beaches with like see-through water, blue water, and there's no one there. There's no one on the beaches, so you just go, where am I? And we drove all day to get to Isle of Harris. We left Glasgow very early, drove on to Skye, and then we got the ferry to Tarbert, and we drove over to the golf club straight away. And we'd done 12 hours in the car or something. My back certainly gets very tight, and I was just like, oh my god, we just got to go play this tonight. And the three of us went out, no cameras, and it was a beautiful evening.
You got to play it, first of all, just without paying attention to your media stuff that you're trying to create. You actually just went and experienced it.
Mega casual as well. We were just in our sort of travelling clothes, and there was nobody there. And at 6 o'clock at night, and we just played 9 holes, and it was just, one of those amazing evenings. And with that whole trip, the lucky thing was we didn't see a cloud all week. Now, for Scotland and out on those islands, the locals are like, Pete, come on, man, like this never happened. So
you brought the weather to Glasgow, Pete. That's how it works.
Aye, so we did. But the weather was very unique, and that obviously added to the experience. But yeah, Isle of Harris, 9 holes. You sort of drive into a car park at probably the highest point in the course. You get out and you're like, where is the clubhouse? And you're standing on it. It's like a bunker. It's like an underground bunker. Now they're trying to they've got a plan to build a clubhouse, but I think that added so much to it. It's like they basically got shipping containers, and the grass is sort of overgrowing them, and the tee is like right beside the roof of the clubhouse. It's just I just can't, that place. And the greens were running fine and stuff, but it's just like a totally built on the moon type course. I just loved it. I loved it so much. And that was the start. That was like day one of the trip, and we're like, we've got Askernish, and then we ended up at Barra, which is basically, again, it was supposed to be a bit of a filler day, but they have sort of one guy there in a quad bike, and the greens are all like a perfect square, and they've got the bull fences around them, the electric fences, but they're perfectly square, and it's just the most bizarre course in the world. It's over and round a mountain, and in the second hole there at Isle of Arran Golf Club, you kind of hit dog legs right, you hit down towards the water. It's just spectacular beach. So I've sent Tom up as a runner, and I was like, right, where do I aim it, mate? And he's like, oh, he's laughing, man. I'm like, what? It's either really tight, which I've got no chance hitting it, or he's just laughing at something. And he's like, Pedro, there's 200 cows down here. You just in the middle of the fairway. So you just got to like kind of fire it down to like 200 cows. And my ball ran inside this like one bull there, and the thing was like the size of a truck, and it was lying down, and I was really, I was a bit nervous about retrieving my ball, and I was just like, this place is off the charts, and it was a tenner. It was a tenner.
Wow.
A tenner in the box, and just like totally different experience from golf as we know it, but I mean, so much fun as well, so much fun.
And I was going to say, Pete, so you connected with some old school golf courses there, but you actually connected with some old school golf clubs in your hand. And I'd love for you to talk about your Hickory experience. So talk us through that, meeting Lloyd Saltman again, who I think you know from your junior days, youth golf.
Yeah.
Talk us through the Hickory experience as well at Kilspindy.
Yeah. So I connected. I heard Lloyd on your podcast, and it just brought back so many good memories of like, when I was playing at my sort of best golf, sort of last year as a junior, and then I, got to see sort of Lloyd Saltman in his prime, and it was like, still to this day, I probably haven't seen anyone, play at that kind of level. He was just so special, and we connected over a couple of different things, but I hadn't seen him in 20 years, man, or whatever. And I said, look, I want to come out and I want to play some golf with you. And he's like, I love the kind of Bogey Train thing. And I said, well, I'm thinking about like firing some, I said, you'll smash me to this, but if I fire some hickories in our hands, then, the playing field gets leveled up. Plus, I knew I was going to the hickory place first. Right. And I was like, I can get the good ones. Right, so this is the plan. So we
stacking the odds in your favour, Pete. I like this. This is good.
Yeah, absolutely, Glasgow boy. It's not my first rodeo. So we get this idea together. So we're going to go to Kilspindy, which is his boyhood club before he moved on to Craigielaw and did all won all the big championships. But I think he reckoned he still won the Scottish boys at Craigielaw. Kilspindy, sorry. So we get Kilspindy on board. And then I'm like, right, hickory. So, just like Bogey Train, we've winged it from day one. We Google hickories East Coast, and Jack White Golf turns up, and I'm like, right, okay. And I get a mobile number for the guy, and I said, look, we're doing this filming. It's all with like the great intentions of the game involved, and we're playing Kilspindy, talking a wee bit about like the history there, and we're playing with one of our best amateur champions, certainly, in Lloyd Saltman. And the guy's like, yeah, he was quite cryptic in text, and the salesman in me, Ross, was trying to get him on the phone, and the guy's not wanting to get on the phone here. So I'm going, there's something a bit kind of no right here, right? So we organised to go to Jack White Golf before Kilspindy, get 2 sets of hickory clubs, rentals and whatever, and we meet Boris, right? Now Boris, and that just from like Lock, Stock, and was it Snatch? Boris the Blade, Boris the Bullet Dodger. So we meet this guy, and he's standing outside the shop. He's in full +4s, all the gear, man. The old hat, the old, not even like old Tom Morris stuff, tweed. Oh man, it was like I couldn't explain it. He's sitting there, and he's German, and Boris is like got one of the most unbelievable collections of hickory clubs from all over the world, not just Scottish hickories, but he's got some of the early American clubs, and he's got this little tiny shop in the middle of Gullen, High Street in Gullen.
What's in Gullen?
And
I didn't even know that was there, Pete. Is that a new? Has he set that up recently, or?
Yeah, so Jack White was one of the original pros in Gullen who, I mean, he'll tell you the history. There's some like amazing history from Jack White, and became a sort of master club maker. And they believe that the club, I mean, this is like, I'm dipping into the memory here, but the driver that Bobby Jones used to win all the stuff was made by Jack White.
Wow.
So just like legendary old pro, and the shop's there, and Boris owns a shop, and blah blah blah. And we go in there, but it is like stepping into, you know, old Tom Morris's locker. It's just like, if you're a geek like me and you love sort of history of golf stuff, you got to go and meet Boris, and he knows everything. And he just started as a collector, and he started playing in the Hickory World Championships, and it's just grown arms and legs. And he refurbs. So if you find old hickories, he can refurb them for you.
Oh, that's nice.
He can
there's
buy
a lot of
them.
You would see, and either, I don't want to be unfair, but they're maybe falling apart. The grips are coming off, and you look at it, and you don't want to touch it because you think, I'll probably ruin or make it worse. That's awesome, mate, does that?
Yeah. And he's got his own sort of way of how he puts the grips on these old clubs, and they felt amazing. Anyway, he has this shop, and it's just like Aladdin's cave for like golf nerds. And I just loved it. And we were like, oh, you know, I need a couple of bags. And so we got Saltman all the duffers, right? And I'm going, right, what's the hardest to hit here? And I'm like, right, that's in his bag. We got my rubbish bag. I was like, that would be quite awkward for him, you know, might put his back out and all this. And then, and then Boris is like, oh, I'm going to join you. And I was like, well, you know, we're filming, you know, Lloyd and I sort of playing a game. But I was like, he goes, I'm only going to play 4 holes.
And that's been a theme for you all the way through, right? You've, no offense to Boris, but you've kind of picked up a lot of randoms that just But I think that's what makes it so authentic as well. It's not that you're not saying, well, you're not part of what I'm doing here. You're just saying to folk, well, come along. I think that's a really nice part of what you've done, Pete. It's people that are there. You're bringing them into the show. You're letting them get on camera and having fun with them. It's awesome.
Thank you for that, mate, and that means a lot. And it certainly is the part of Bogey Train that we've probably enjoyed the most. We get to go to these amazing places, but actually the people that we've ran into, man, randomers or not, you know, ladies, guys, juniors, people of all levels of golf, which is really important. You know, we've played with Lloyd Saltman and K-Mac, Kelsey McDonald, you know, people that have played at the top of the professional game, to people that, you know, are starting their golfing journey. And I think if you know, we've just had an open book. Probably my competitive days are long gone, but I'm on this sort of journey back. I'm really enjoying my golf, and, you know, you can enjoy the game at any level. And, you know, we bring along people that enjoy it. And and if you just, I think in life, if you just approach things a bit more open, it's amazing, like who kind of jumps in, and the people we've met.
I'd like to thank Oliver Wilson and True Links Wear UK for sponsoring the show. Let's hear from Ollie now.
The OG3 Pro is the natural evolution of the OG range. We have a wide toe box that allows your foot to work naturally and your toes display. We have a cushioned zero drop platform. It's flexible, minimalist to allow you to feel the ground. It's waterproof and an aggressive, spikeless outsole. And of course, it's tour tested.
So Boris, he comes along for about 4 holes, and, you know, he's really hitting the ball. He's kind of studied how people were hitting the ball with hickories, so he stood totally different.
Wow.
Yeah,
and he's got the full gear on at this point, right?
Full gear, man. Full
Tom
gear.
Morris look.
Socks up, man, and the +2s, +4s, I can't remember, and he looked amazing. And then he's like, oh no, he's like, you don't hit it up, and these folk weren't hitting it up in the air at that time. So he's talking before, Bobby Jones and all that. He's talking, turn of the 19th century. He's standing different and he's hitting it along the ground, and he's like, well, look, you hit it up in the air, the wind's going to take it. He goes, I'm just pitching it along the ground. And his putting, man, he putted so differently and he held everything, man. It was unreal. It was just great. It was great. And then we got a wee interview with Lloyd, and I hadn't seen him in ages. And the guy, man, he's like annoyingly so handsome. He just pitched up. He pitched up and he's got the Ray-Bans on, he just looks like a movie star. And I'm like, I was like, my life would be a lot easier if I looked like you, mate. So he was just brilliant and very open. And I did want to ask him some hard questions because he's got such an unbelievable story. And I think you shared recently those sort of world golf amateur rankings that came out, and it was like Ricky Fowler was number 1, Lloyd was number 2, and McIlroy was 15th.
Yeah, and you look at the team he played in. I mean, that Walker Cup team at Royal County Down with McIlroy, and the BBC coverage, it was Peter Alice. Yeah, and Lloyd's just there smashing it off the tee, which is a sight that you would have seen a lot more than I did. But seeing him do that again, it was like, yeah, what a golfer.
Yeah.
What a golfer.
Yeah. And, he was so honest with his time and very open, which I really, couldn't thank him enough for. He talked really amazing thing about, because I'd always seen him at open qualifying, and I think he got through final qualifying a few times.
Yeah.
Which is really ridiculous when you think about how hard that is. But he was telling me about, his mindset going into final qualifying, which was just brilliant. And he got through into a few opens, which was so cool. But yeah, it was just great to connect again. And that was a great day. Kilspindy, really, really cool course.
The question we need to get to though, Pete, who won?
Well, by the way, watch the video, but I end up tipping him. He did
not get... Not stacked the odds in your favour or anything.
Well, the odds were mega stacked, and somehow, I've been struggling out the bunkers this year, and I had 2 or 3 sort of really tough, sort of maybe 50 to 70 yard bunker shots with a hickory club, and I stiffed both of them. It was unbelievable.
I bet you Lloyd was delighted.
I was putting that sand wedge down my trouser leg. I was like, I'll just hold on to this one, Boris. So yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun, and it was like one of these days that they don't call it windy Kilspindy for nothing, and it was blowing hard.
It did look like it was blowing a decent amount.
One of the short 4s that was off camera. It's maybe only 260. And most folk can knock it on when it's calm, but it was straight downwind, and I had a hickory 8-iron, and I put it on the green. That's wow. And it wasn't I lashed at it or anything. It was just that's how windy it was. So it was tricky.
Keeping that club as well, Pete.
I know. And so I did all right. But he was just so game, and hats off to Big Saltman, because he put on a show in his day, man.
Yeah, you're talking about speed there and distance. So what about the Thunderdome? We need to talk about the Thunderdome, Pete. You walked up to see Scott Borman. I'd love you to talk us through that as well, because you've got this amazing set of trips that you've done. You've got all the history, these amazing places, and then you go and see Scott to work in your speed and see what he's doing.
Yeah, Scott, again, a great player. I was down at Glasgow Gales recently, and up in the boards of the Palmer Cup that Scott Borman played in, which is the European collegiate players play against the US collegiate players. Bit similar-esque to the Walker Cup, I guess, but not as prestigious. And Scott Boreman played, and he played Billy Horschel, I think, 2 or 3 times. And by the way, Billy Horschel's still in Scott Boreman's pocket with the scores. I mean, he would just demolished everyone.
Wow.
So, you know, hell of a player and an amazing story, which again I heard on this podcast. So we, you know, thanks for that. We went up and seen him in Stirling Golf Club, and yeah, it was great. I actually have to stop talking about Scott Boreman because I talk about him in every film that we do, because people say, you know, why using the pink tees, and I really started driving the ball a lot better and with a lot more confidence. And I was like, I just left this one trip to Scott Boreman, unbelievable. And he'd probably be wanting money out of me now. But he's doing training speed, as you know, and he came on and he told you about that and how he got there. When I went to hit balls, you know, I've got a pretty self-made swing, and I struggle when I get given too much technique advice. And there's a bit in the film, and you know, we were there for a couple of hours, but he kind of picked up on that really quickly, and he just got me simply moving a bit better into the back of the ball. Sorry, my bulldog here is snoring. I don't know if you can hear.
Oh, can't hear it.
He's sitting there in the heat, man. He's some boy. So yeah, we hit some balls, and I said I was really struggling with this, putting too much side spin on the ball. I was hitting stuff with, like, you know, it wasn't a powerful fade. It was definitely cutty. Right. And my go-to under nerves or a hole that I didn't like, I'd be pegging it down even lower and squeezing it, hitting it down, so creating a lot of spin. And he was like, right, pink tee, you can't peg it down any lower, and you just got to, like, hit the back of the ball. And I hit these balls, and he's like, man, like, you need to just go do that in the course and, like, get some confidence that, you know, there's a swing there that is producing a shot, and you've obviously got some scar tissue that you need to deal with, but just get a pink tee and just go in and basically just go out and launch it, basically. And I just started doing that, really. There still is holes in certain conditions, certainly wind off the left, I've kind of always struggled with. But yeah, I just started driving it great. And
did you manage to knock any putters off the wall? I noticed in the short video you did that Scott was hitting, there's just stuff going everywhere. Yeah, so we had a great time, and he really kind of gave me a bit of confidence in my swing. But then, you know, we wanted to end on a high, and I said, oh, you know, it's your turn, I want to see you hit it. And then it was just like, you know, and he's a similar sort of size to me, and it's just like outrageous, you know. And I was interested because I don't follow a lot of long drive stuff. Yeah. And I said, are you getting, like, long drive numbers? Because I think, you know, in a studio you're warm, and I was really warmed up, and I was hitting it, and I was catching it out of the meet. It was going like 320, 315, 320. I was really happy with that. Now he's hitting it like 385, so, you know, I'm hitting it 320 down the middle, and his ball's still rising, going over mine, right? So I was like, well, you know, is that long drive numbers? And he's like, yeah, not even close. And I was really surprised at that. But when he's hitting it, you know, you are getting sucked into like a vortex. And, you know, he was talking about, like, his feel was like astronomically good. It was like he was hitting stuff, and he's like, the contact wasn't there, so the speed before it popped up on the screen will be, he's telling you the speed, you know, basically will be 198 balls. So his thing's about consistently hitting over 200 miles an hour ball speed, and he's hitting one not easy. No, it's just like crazy, man. And he's hitting it, and he goes, that's 199, and it'd pop up 199, and he's like, that's whatever. And he's like, no, that's good, that'll be over 200.
and we were all jumping about, and it was just like amazing, man. Like he's helping a lot of people, which is amazing. Because I've had people message saying, "Oh, I need to go for him," or "I need to go see him," or "I've been and he's great." So he is doing something, different, and you've got it in these days. You've got to have your unique selling point, and his is just like getting people to smash the hell out of the ball. Aye. So, and he obviously does have like very good technical knowledge as well. And I have to say, with working with someone like me, and I was only there, he picked up on that very quickly, that he was like, found out kind of what a player I was like, and didn't overcomplicate it, didn't give me too much to think about, and just was like, you just got to move a bit better into the ball. And yeah, I mean, that was great. That was great. Absolutely. So,
and then Pete, that set you up for the trip of a lifetime, which was Arran. So we need to talk Arran. That was a huge trip for you.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. I mean, talk the listeners through who don't know about Arran in terms of golf courses, holes, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I had a concept about Arran where we shot our first film, which was Shiskin Golf Club, and I think again the secret's out about Shiskin. It's 12-hole links course on the west coast of Arran, and Arran, if you're not in the know, is an island just off the west coast of Scotland. So I think it's about 15 miles. Takes about an hour on a ferry, and it has 4,000 or 4,500 people live there, and it has 7 golf courses. It's like half the population.
Good numbers.
It's like if you grow up in the island, you're golfing kind of thing. So it's got seven courses. There's only 3 that are 18 holes. There's Shiskin, which is 12 holes, which is phenomenal. And then there's I'll go through them, but I think many of my ideas get discussed and get thought of in a pub, in a Glasgow bar, and this was no different. I went into a bar in the West End of Glasgow, and I randomly bumped into a long-term golfing friend, Gordon Nicholson. I'll give him a wee shout out. Gordon Nicholson, a good guy from the south side of Glasgow, and he was like, "Oh, I've been watching the videos and stuff. What's up next?" I said, "Well, I want to do this thing in Arran, and I want to go to Arran, and I want to play all the courses." So it's 7 courses, 95 holes in a day, and I know a lot of people are doing the sort of charity aspect, which is phenomenal, and the longest day of golf and playing 100 holes. But I was like, I want to do this kind of Top Gear episode because they're dotted about all over the island. There is a wee bit of logistics involved, and I don't know the island incredibly well. So we went down. He goes like that. Well, I've got your guy. I've got your guy on the island, Greg McRae. So I'm like, who's Greg McRae? He's like, he's the guy. Here's the number. You got to phone Greg McRae. Now, Greg McRae runs an Instagram page called Golf Arran, and he's an amazing guy. I sort of tell people that he's like the Ray Donovan. Do you know Ray Donovan, the show? He's like the LA fixer. Like Greg McRae is the Ray Donovan of golf in Arran, right? He knows and champions all the courses. He has been on sort of episodes with the No Laying Up guys and different sort of big filming and podcast people that come to the island. He's the man, and he is a member of one of the courses, but he really promotes the island in a whole and on an even keel, which is amazing. He's like the custodian of Arran Golf, and he's just a great guy. So I got in touch with him. He's like, "Pete, this is exactly what the island needs. Like, this is such a cool thing to do if you're going to film it all." He's like, sends me this spreadsheet the next day, and I'm like not good with spreadsheets, and he sends me this unbelievable thing, and it is like every course, where we start, how long the travel time is, everything. Oh, and I was like, this is amazing, man. This would have taken me a week to get to this, or maybe longer. And it was kind of up to me to basically sail into the course and say, this is what we're doing. We want to do quite a big thing here, because when we go to courses, we're usually only filming for 3-4 hours, but this was going to be all day. It was 18 hours we were filming for. It was starting at 4:30 in the morning, tee off. So we're filming, kind of getting out our scratcher at like 3:30, right? And then we're finishing when it's dark at like 10 o'clock at night. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, all day, all night. And Greg says, and I said to Greg, I said, we'd love it if you came along. We want to put people from Arran on it. And he said, no. He goes, I'm going to play every course with you. And I was
brilliant.
I was like, great, because then you've got a wee bit of company. And then a few of the courses we brought on different people, but a bit about that was amazing. That we pitch up the first tee 4:30 in the morning, and he goes, right, we're playing a game. And I was like, what? We're going to play a 95-hole game? He's like, we're going to play a 95-hole game.
No
and
way.
I think he's off like 1 or 2 or 3.
He's club champion at 4 of the courses out of 7.
Very good. Knows every blade of grass, right? And I'm probably...
Does Lloyd know? Was this Lloyd getting you back for the Hickory setup?
I know. Listen to this guy's an absolute ringer. And I probably play around scratch. If I'm playing well, I'll shoot around par. So we would go, right, we go for it, 95 holes. And I'm just like, can't even move. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm like trying to tan a Red Bull. And I'm like, this is like, I've made the mistake here. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing? And I hit it about 20 yards off the first tee at Whiting Bay. I hit about a foot behind the ball. I went, and you hear people say I hit big ball before the wee ball. I hit Arran before I hit the wee ball. And the divot almost goes as far as the ball. It was like a shambles. He wins the first. He holds a big putt in the second. He holds a big putt in the third, and then he chips in at 4 to go 4 up. To which on the 5th tee, he sort of turns around to me and like the cameras, and he's like, "Pedro, you needing any shots? You want any shots?" And I was like, "Calm down, calm down. There's 91 holes left." But I was also like, I can't go 5 or 6 in here. But it was just. The thing with the game was that kept us kind of focused all day, because you could just get lost in a wee bit of like, right, you're starting to get a bit tired or whatever, and you're just sort of maybe not holing out, or so we had a real great game that went right into the last course, which was brilliant. So it was amazing. But the courses, I'll take you through the courses. So the courses, 7 courses. We started at Whiting Bay Golf Club, which is 18 holes, and which is a beautiful wee course. Some of the great views that you hit down into the Firth of Clyde. And then we moved over to Lumlash, which holds still one of the great Gents Opens every year, a 2-day thing at Lumlash Open, that's 18 holes. Then we moved down to Brodick, which is where you get the ferry from Ardrossan and Troon, 18 holes. And then we went to Corrie. Now Corrie's this 9 holes. It's starting to get a bit of like chat about it. The greenkeeper there is a brilliant player, a guy called Ewan McKinnon, who played with us. He's like a +4 guy. Brilliant players, played like Scottish Arms and stuff, and he's a greenkeeper. So the course, I mean, he's got this place tricked up like Augusta, man. It's like incredible, and you're kind of up in the mountains, and you think you're in bloody, you think you're in like Crans or something. You think you're, you think you're in the Alps. So that's amazing. Then there's an 11-hole. It's now a pitch and putt. It's called Lochran's. It's a campsite, but it used to apparently have a great course, but the campsite owners have made it into like a pitch and putt, so it's fine. But there's this herd of deer that come off the hill, and they just sit in the course. So you're hitting over like 20 deer, and they're very like, they don't run away. And it's just like, I've never been so close to like wild deer. It really, really special just to see that.
That's not something you typically see, right? Deer they're not very tame. They tend to just run away or disappear or hide.
They're just sitting there, just bedding down on the course. It's just amazing. You know, a good 20 of them, I would say. And then we wanted to end up at Shiskin, but there was a kind of a back and forth. Macquarie Bay had their championship on, so we went to Shiskin and we played with the captain and the vice captain, so Jenny and Alice, and that was great. Shiskin is just one of my favourite places. And then we finished up at Macquarie Bay, which is a 9-holer, and they've got this amazing finishing hole that goes over a road towards the sea. And somehow I've kind of whacked one down there on the beach, and I'm playing back onto the green and stuff. And that was us, man. It was like, it was really an amazing experience. And you know, we kind of talked down the last hole, Greg and I. And he's like, "What if you love doing it today?" And I was like, you know, I just think I'll remember this for, you know, all my days. It was a great thing to do. Now the thing with Arran is, that may all sound very appealing to people, but the value is off the charts. It's £175 for the Arran Golf Pass, which gives you access to play all the courses once, and I think maybe Corrie you get to play it twice or something, because it's a 9-hole, something like that.
Wow.
So you can go there and you can have that for a year. So you don't need to use it in a weekend or a day. You can have it in a year and you can tick them off. And it's just
That's
like
awesome.
It almost might be the best deal in Scottish golf. You know, it was just, so you've got Greg McRae there at Golf Arran. He can tell you about accommodation, travel, all the courses, and then even to join. And a lot of people who holiday there will get like a country membership, which are, you know, which is as cheap as like a few £100 or something. And it's just like an amazing place. And you know, like a lot of where we went Bogey Train, these places get overlooked because, you know, you're 10, 15 miles from the Ayrshire coast of all these amazing big links courses, Prestwick, Royal Troon, Turnberry, etc. And then, you know, if somewhere flies under the radar, they just don't get the love, which is unbelievable to me. So, Arran's the place, man. We love that.
Brilliant. So, Pete, listen, it's been absolutely brilliant having you back on. First time person to come back on for a second time. It's been really great to get to know you and hear all your stories and watch all the content you've got on YouTube. And people should go to YouTube, check out your channel, and I think have a great time. And then obviously go and book some of these places and go and get some of the experiences. They're absolutely incredible.
Well, that's it. You know, thanks again for having me. It's been great to be back on. I think the biggest compliment we get is from British people, from international people, and they've said, "Oh, you know, we've done St Andrews and we've maybe done some of the bigger courses, but because we've seen one of your videos, we're going to go try that." And then they come back and say, "We had an amazing experience there because, you know, we would have never have found that place." Or so that's the biggest compliment we can get, is people, you know, we're actually changing people's decisions on where to go, and maybe it's a bit more affordable where we play, and something a bit different is definitely what we do. So that's been a cool thing to see.
Brilliant. So Pete, listen, thanks for coming on. It's been really great to hear from you, and let's stay in touch and let's get a game sometime as well.
I would love that, mate. I'd love that. Book me in.
Brilliant.
Right, pal. Speak soon.
Cheers. Big thanks to Pete McLachlan. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, hearing about 95 holes in a day, the value of the Arran Golf Pass, and why exploring beyond the famous championship venues can lead to some of the most memorable experiences in golf. Be sure to check out Pete's YouTube channel, Bogey Train Films, for more of his travels and stories. And if you're planning your next golf trip, maybe think about adding Arran to the list. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and leave a review. It really helps more people discover the show. I'm Ross McGuire. Thanks for listening.
Lomond Golf Tours have helped thousands of guests build bespoke golf trips to create a magical experience. Travel in style with our executive chauffeur travel, whether it's golf on a major championship venue or one of our hidden gems, 5-star accommodation or a boutique bed and breakfast, or is it whiskey tasting on a private boat? Lomond Golf Tours are here to help build the tour of a lifetime. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or ticking it off your bucket list, embark on a trip that you'll remember forever. To learn more about our offerings for 2025 and beyond, visit www.lomondgolftours.com.